Looks like it.
Yeah.
We live? Are we live?
Yeah, looks like, bro.
Some last minute. Okay. So, if anyone's watching, we're doing some last minute messing around. But I think we're on. We're in, Dave. We're on.
Yeah, we're on.
No one's talking to us.
Setting up the good things.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk to us.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
3 people. We've got 3 people.
Yeah, they're coming.
For the rush.
They're coming.
So, quick introduction to you guys. I'm Paul.
What's up?
This is Dave, Rulezman, Davide. Dave lives down the road in Savona, about 40 minutes away from my farm. Banshee legends. This is 1 hour. Ask us anything. Low budget production. We're not funded by the bike industry, so we're doing the best we can. Low budget. We've got all our high tech sound insulation. And yeah, we're just doing the best we can. So
yeah, let's put the mic a little bit further up, man. Better. Some tech movement of our equipment, like this, much better. Much better.
my favourite Berlin duo ever. And
just pull out the bike a little bit more. Can you lift up the stand? Yeah, that's it. Much better.
so first question, Dave.
We already have a question. Nah,
I'm asking the question.
no one is asking. Come on, guys. We are here for an hour. You can ask us anything about the bike. If you have any queries, go on. What's up, Paul?
My first question.
Yeah.
What's it called? Why?
What's it called? Yeah, just the Banshee Legend RRT Rulezman race treatment, and instead of 2 01 because it's the first limited edition bike that have been made, and I'm not gonna do one more like this one. So if it's gonna be Ali 02 next time, it's gonna be a different bike, maybe even a different frame, different concept. So I want to do something really unique, and thanks to Become Unique from Portugal to making this super graphics matching the anodized color frame. So that's the name of the bike, just Banshee Legend RRT 01 limited edition. That's it.
Rulezman race tune.
Yeah, Rulezman race treatment, I will say for this one. Yeah, not Rulezman Mama Tiramisu because it's not here, but yeah, that's the idea. Rulezman race treatment.
Oh, it's the end of tiramisu tonight.
Yeah, no, not to that today, but
I'll order one. Why is it gold?
it's a gold because I believe gold is the best looking material and color you can find on earth, and gold represent the quality, the most precious thing, I believe.
So gold medal, first place.
Yeah, that's another theory, but I don't race anymore. So yeah, I'm just thinking about something really nice to look when you don't ride, because when you ride, you don't look at the bike in theory, but when you stop at the bar with a gold bike, ping ping, No, I really like the gold as a color, and this year I've been making a lot of things with the gold, and I wanted to do since a lot of years frame polished in anodized in raw, in gold, and this one is the one. It's the first one. It's been quite complicated to do, but yeah, this is it. Let me go to read the comments. Yeah, I've got some comment here.
I still remember in 2000.
Are you reading comments there?
I can't see them on this thing.
Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can read my comments. I check the comments in here.
I still remember Caprun World Championships 2002.
Yeah.
Which I made the PT replica orange of this year.
Yeah.
PT turned up on a silver bike.
Yeah.
I won a silver medal. Nico Rios turned up on a gold bike. won the gold medal. So.
Yeah, just come here to read the comments, bro, because there are some writings. Yeah.
Okay, first one for you, Dave. How tuned is the rear damper? Is it standard because of how good the CCDB is?
No, it's not standard. The Cane Creek Double RL is for sure my favorite one. Definitely the shock which I have been on for more than a decade, 14 years. And this one, it's a little bit more stiffer because the bike has quite a high progression, and I need to stabilize a little bit the chassis movement in the first bit of the travel. So I need a sort of a stiffer tune compared to the standard shocks. Paul has been on it on the other bikes in the last 2-3 months, so he really knows the stuff. This one is not even stronger as something that he has been trying on the other bike. But yeah, definitely the double barrel is not a standard one. It's been tuned and reshinned by myself.
So in that case, you just increase the shim stack force.
Yeah. That's the idea. Yeah. You swear 25 rims. How you both swear by 25mm rims? How come 27 from the? Yeah, these wheels are the DRC Shred, which is actually a sort of a prototype, not in production yet. And I have been designing the rims with the CEO of the DRC, and I've been asking for a 25, and he said no, 25 is too small for the market. And yeah, I do agree with him for sure, because anyone wants 30, myself want 25, Paul wants 25 too. So we ended up having a 27-ish, 28 in width, which is a good compromise if you want to go with even wider tires. Something which we don't like, because we both ride the 2.4/2.5 inches with tires. So the 25 for us is it's still the best one, and 27 for sure is not really that far off the 25. So it's a really solid rim. Let's see the other questions. Oh yeah, what's up, Paul?
These Maxxis tires always have a nice round profile.
Yeah,
you can use them on a slightly wider.
Yeah, come over to read the questions, bro.
I've got the next one, Dave.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm the moderator. You just answer the questions.
Okay.
The second wheel question is, why not a mullet?
All right, it's pretty straightforward. The main man, Keith Scott, which is the designer of the bike, drew the bike around the 29. So if you throw in a 27 on the rear, the BB is going to be too low, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to ruin a perfect design. So if you want to install a 27 on this bike, you should reproject the bike, redesign, maybe with different links. But at this current stage, it's definitely not possible, because the BB is quite low, even with the 29. And from 29 to 27, we got 18 millimeters of radius difference. So if you put the 27.5 on the rear, you're gonna drop the BB by 2/3 of 18, which is 12 millimeters, coming down from 34.4-ish centimeters from the ground. You go down to 33, which is definitely too low. So it's not, the mullet is no go for this bike.
My current opinion on the mullet or the 29 is, if you're going to go as fast as you possibly can, and you know the track, double 29 is fine. And if you've got enough clearance for your ass. But I'm running mullet on my bikes, so I think it turns better if you're turning like off the cuff on trails that you don't know. So if you're riding stuff blind, it's easier to turn the mullet, I find. You can get the front wheel in, lean it in, and the back always sort of slides, oversteers.
Yeah, a lot of people, they get hurt by the rear tire 29S, because the bikes are equipped with short chainstay, and so when the wheel goes up, it hits the bump. But this one has a moderate long chainstay, so it's not a problem even with 29.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, I think if you're tall enough and you know the track, like on a racetrack, double 29's definitely faster. Otherwise, a mullet's a good compromise. Next question, Dave. What are the advantages of 800mm plus bars besides straight line control?
Just a matter of leverage. If your hands are closed like this, and someone wants to deviate your handlebar, you have no force. If you increase the leverage, you have more strong force over the force that wants to deviate your handlebar. It's physical, you know. So the wider you are, the better it is. And I come from the Moto world. On the Moto, everyone is riding 820 and 830. So mountain bikes to me are still too small. And when I buy a handlebar, which is to 790 in this case, I usually make it by 810 or 815, something like this. So 810 to me is the perfect number. And of course, we are running also a really short stem, which is a 25 forward. So when you go back towards the crown of the bike, you need to make it wider. And that's the best in the motocross, and I believe it works pretty well even on the mountain bike. What have you got here, man?
The next one is.
I come to read the comments. I'm interested, man. I want to see the comments. I want to read the comments. Damn it.
The next question is, what are the changes planned for my next bike? We're going to try and not answer any questions not related to this gold legend. If you want me to do a similar thing next week about the Edgery bike, which is in the background, we can, no problem. Let me know, and we can line that up. Here's a good one for you, Dave.
What's up?
Spherical bearings in the shock.
Yeah, I've got
Why?
one. Yeah,
Why not?
On the bike, yeah. Yeah, I've got one shock here for you guys. It's the same as the one installed on the bike. This one is my personal one. So if you want to buy one, since that one is the last one on planet Earth, you have to buy this one if you want, but it's going to be really expensive. Anyway, the sphericals. The sphericals are really important when you want to keep the shock in line when there is a side flex or something that deviates the axle of the shock during the decompression movement. On this particular frame, the frame is super sturdy, super strong on the BB. Let's pull up the bike for a second, man. We show the BB area here. The bike has been built around the cage, which is the area here, and it's really, really strong. And the shock is moving only inside in the cage, so there is no side flex. So there is no need on this bike to install the spherical bearings if the bike is aligned. Of course, I have been checking the alignment of the rear triangle and the front triangle. Everything is perfect. So a shock without any spherical bearings on this particular bike is working pretty well. If you have what we call a sheet frame, then you probably need some something that helps the shock to work in line.
This area is absolutely massive, isn't it? This is huge.
Yeah.
I don't think it really shows up on photos, but yeah, that's absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's one of the best design that I ever seen. Then you can change the progression, you can change a lot of things if you design differently, maybe the rear swing arm or other things, but in terms of the bike core, a shock installed in this position above the BB, I believe is the best one you can do. That's where all the shocks should stay in a bike, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, this bike, similar to an Ancelotti or Commensal Supreme, the swing arm's actually pulling the linkage to then push the shock. My bike in the background is purely pushing the shock. So if you have a bike that pulls the shock, pulls the linkage for the shock, that keeps it more in line. Think of a car towing a caravan. If you drive your car, you pull in the caravan, it follows in line. If you try and reverse, the caravan tries to go off in all directions. So my bike, in the background, when it compresses, it's always trying to push the shock off in one direction. This bike, because it's pulling the link, is going to keep it more in line. So yeah, no need for the sphericals on this guy. Good question about size.
Yeah, I want to read the comments, man. Let me read the comments. Yeah.
Smallest size rider who could ride this bike?
Yeah, we have to call Fabio Grillanda, one of our friends, one of the fastest guy finale. He's 1.71 meters tall, and he has been driving this bike. Well, not this one, a copy of this one, of course, is a normal bike, normal legend. 1.5 years ago, when I did the test for the Dorado 2022, the 37mm one chassis we have here, He has been riding down the Legnaia, one of the most famous tracks down in Finale. Super fast, and he's only 1.71 m. I would say only because a lot of people from UK, from Germany, from North Europe, you guys are all more tall than us Italians. So I call a high person 1.85 m maybe, but in Italy 1.85 m it's not really the average. And of course, people in 1.70 m, 1.72 m can ride this bike pretty easily, I would say, because we also have the 25 mm stem, and if it's too long, you just install a 10 mm stem, Moto style, and you are even more centered. So I don't see any problem to use the bike if you are above 1.70 m. Of course, if you are 1.65 m, I must be a little bit more sincere. Well, I must be sincere, and then it's probably too much. But from 1.70 to maybe 1.90 or 1.85, 1.90, it's perfect.
And if it is too big for you, the guys at Banshee, who are really nice, helpful guys, they've offered to give 10% off a new frame to the winner. So if you want to win it, and you do win it, and you need a small size, Banshee will do 10% off a new frame. You can order it from them, pay them directly, put this on eBay or sell it. I can help you try and sell it. I'm sure you'll sell this gold frame quite easily. Use money to buy the correct frame, swap all the parts over.
Yeah, but I would really think that's only if you are below 1.70 m. Yeah. If not, just ride it because it's perfect.
Yeah, or just hang it on the wall.
Yeah, mirror, we're going to sleep, exactly. Yeah, we got a lot of comments, man.
Yeah, I'm getting some, Dave. I'm getting them. What's the rear hub engagement?
We got the DRC hub, which has 30 BOE. So you do some math, 360 divided by 30, and you find the numbers. I guess it was 12 degrees, if I'm not wrong. Can you do the math?
No.
360. Hey guys, you guys watching us, it's a 30 POE. So if you want to know the angle, it's 360 divided by 30. Yeah, it's 12 degrees before it engages. This one is not the custom prototype because I don't want to give prototypes to people at this stage. So it's the classic low POE from DRC, which is a good compromise between being prompt and not have too much pedal feedback.
Yeah,
I wouldn't use more than this one on this bike. If you want to use high-tech hubs with instant engagement stuff, you need to throw in a no chain, of course. But I wouldn't do it. I just use a hub which has a 30 or less POE.
Yeah, I completely agree. I never understand the hype about super.
If you like to climb and do some trial moves, then of course that's your gold standard. If you go downhill, you need less than 30 even there. Yeah. The APK hub, which I was projecting, designing, it was like 15 POE, so pretty low, 24 degrees of free play. Yeah, that's another story.
What do you like so much about the DHR2, especially as a front tyre?
Oh, it's a proven design, which has been out for ages, and a lot of companies have been copied. I really think it just works. There's not much to say about this, man. It's really good for me. It's a good compound. It's not too wide. Good low rolling resistance compared to many tires out there. So I just like them. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of the minions. My opinion is if you are riding steeper stuff and you need to slow down more, to rear minions because they've got better braking performance. The front minions have got better rolling performance, but aren't as good at braking. So if you need to roll faster, 2 front minions. This is my spare front wheel from that bike. I'm running the Minion DHF front, 2.5. This is super round profile for dry conditions. A lot of tyres I've tested this year. Conti, Michelin, others, way too square. So yeah, DHR if you want to slow down, DHF if you want to roll faster, or a mix of the two, of course. What is the idea behind 47mm offset and 63 head angle? Are you trying to achieve a specific trail value?
No, I'm not. It's just the international standard. the modern standard for forks. There is no number, man. The number will change if your tire is de-inflated or more inflated by 0.2 bars. Your radius is going to be less or more. So the train number is going to change every time. I just want to use the number which are proven to be good, which are like 63 on head angle. And of course, I do not like any more long wheel set on like 56, 57, 55, 53, whatever, 51. So I try to keep the things on the short side at 47. It's a good solid number for a downhill bike, I believe. So there is not much calculation on it actually. It's just the way I believe it works there.
And this bike's got your custom drop crown.
Yeah, exactly. The head tube on this bike, it's pretty. I wouldn't call it tall. I wouldn't call it normal. Why I would call the other bikes short and sort of nonsense, because the higher is the head tube, the more strong is the frame, and the more strong you can hold the steer tube and the fork. So with a normal Dorado, I wasn't able, like 2 years ago when it came out, to install the Dorado on the frame. So I had to machine the what I call the CNC top drop crown for the Dorado 47 offset. So yeah, this one is equipped, of course, with the custom crown. And when you turn the handlebar, there is no collision on the frame, so you have fully range of motion.
Yeah, I think Manatee made a massive error with this fork, with the crown options and the upper leg length, because you basically can't fit this fork to any bike with more than a 110 head tube.
Yeah, it depends if you want to. They have been releasing a fork which can be installed on 100, 120, 130 head tube, but it's only on the 57 offset version. We want to ride a 47 on 29, so we had to invent a solution, and the crown is actual solution. That's it.
And people can buy those from you if they need.
Yeah, I still have some left. Yeah, before they are gone.
This is a good one. How much progression does the bike have? Should it have more or less, or is it just right for the purpose?
The right answer, it depends who you are. It depends what you do. Personally, I would like to have less progression. I'm not going to hide this concept, but I'm 43. I don't hack to flat like the good men. I rather move. I'm quite light on the bike, so to use all the trouble, I would like to have less progression. But if you are a hack to flat guy, if you do rampage, if you really not scared when you ride to launch any single jump, then you may want to have even more than this. But this figure is a sort of a good average to strong progression. It's not definitely a linear bike. It's a bike which has some progression in. I never heard someone bottoming out this bike. And when I did the test only 2 years ago with the data acquisition on, it was nearly impossible to bottom out the bike. I couldn't do it, but I'm a normal guy. So yeah, a racer can do it, of course. It also depends on which shock you are using, which spring rate you use, which damping you are using. And all my tests has been done with something different from the classical brands, shocks and settings, So I'm always talk about a custom tune, custom bike, and the leverage. It's always related to the way I do set up shocks. But anyway, the bike is just good for a lot of people. Of course, it's not perfect for the rampage guy, and it's not perfect for the super light guys. But that applies for every person. But we can work out the shock tune if you are a person different from the mass, which I hope for you, but I believe you won't be, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the story.
So Tommy says, I run 820mm bars on all my bikes. I think it's ridiculous that there are more wider options available. So I'm not the biggest guy, and I could run wider. Yeah, it's impossible to get wider bars. You put the 50mm.
Yeah, they are about 12 or 13 each side. Yeah, those are made by plastic. It's called Delric. It's aviation plastic, polymer, really resistant. And I made it in plastic because if you hit a tree or something, they break because I've been machining them with a certain thickness. so you can break them without breaking the carbon tip.
Mhm.
That's my idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 810. If we got a ruler, we can measure it. But yeah, it's about 810, 815 now, something like that.
And if the winner or anybody wants them narrower, we can take them out.
Yeah,
at the bar,
yeah.
put them back in.
But if they win this bike, they want to probably experience the RRT settings, and RRT settings are with wide bars, short stem, long wheelbase, certain progression and suspension settings. So I would really advise the people to leave the handlebar as it is. Really short, like I mean, 68, or you know what I mean. Then you probably want less width, but I wouldn't touch it for sure.
I think this one is directed at me. I love that you always show a lot of criticism in your review videos. That's definitely me. Dave, what is the ground to centre of the grips on this bike compared to your trail bike?
It's just about the same. I ride all my bikes at the same height. What I call the down duro or the cross duro, whatever bike, the new category, like my Banshee Prime, I keep it like 1 centimeter lower than the downhill. It should be around 1.13 meters. If you want to measure, we go for it. How is it? Meter 12 and a half.
112, yeah, 12,
Yeah.
120.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. The tire's inflated, yeah.
Yeah, 112 for bar height. There's still a little bit of adjustment. You can add stem spacers or
Yeah.
lower loads on it.
Or,
Or this is a 45mm rise bar, so that can be higher or lower as well. Oh, this is a good one.
What's that?
What are the pluses and minuses of an upside down fork?
We can set up another live to
That's
talk
okay.
about these things, because this takes like 1
Yeah.
year to explain. Yeah, the upside down is just better if you want to know about this topic. Yeah, we definitely need to take an hour to discuss. It can't be said in 3 seconds with 3 phrases. But if you look at the Motos since the 1990s, they switched to upside down. The massive outer tubes connected to the ground are bigger, so there is a lot of more stiffness forward afterwards, and a lot of other reasons why, because the upside down is the best. And I do not care if at the workout we don't see the upside down. It's probably because no one wants us to see the upside down at the workout, but I don't watch what the other are doing, so I do what I believe is the best, and this is my best. It's more than a decade, of which 3 decades on the Moto, and I wouldn't change. Upside down is the best.
Yeah, I pretty much fully agree. A few positives of an upside down fork is, one, your seals are always lubricated because the oil goes down with gravity, keeps your seals and bushings at the bottom always lubricated. And clean. On a standard fork, the tyre is right next to the seals, and it's just always throwing mud and dirt directly onto the seals, exactly where you don't want it. The seals on this fork and with the stanchion guards stay super clean all the time, keeps your servicing intervals lower. That's a big positive. There's a massive difference upside down fork hitting square edges. Like the first time you hit a big square edge bump on an upside down fork, so much smoother than any conventional normal fork. And tracking in natural terrain, the upside down fork will definitely track much better than a conventional fork. And then the flip side of that is, if you're a 120 kilo rider and riding bike part burns like A-line every day, you probably don't want an upside down fork, because you might start to feel a bit of vagueness in the burns. But for general natural riding, for most riders, the upside down is going to be better. But like Dave says, that's a whole other 3-hour topic. Yeah, they're the main positives in my opinion. Can we have a 2-hour plus live stream with Paul, Dave, and Chris Porter about waffling about the MTB industry. Well, Chris was in finale yesterday, or even yesterday, but 2 hours is definitely not enough, because if I talk to Dave or Chris about grips, we could sit there for 3 hours alone. So yeah, we can organise that in the future. A lot more than 2 hours.
Let's bring in Hambini too, man.
And Hambini, yeah.
Hambini and Raul from New Zealand, also the carbon expert. If he's watching, hi man.
So Lucasher technique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, him, Hambini, me, and you, and Chris Porter. Boom, fucking yeah.
The problem is, me and Hambini are together. We're both from Birmingham.
Ah, okay.
So you'll never understand us.
Ah, okay.
You'll have to watch Peaky Blinders for 6 years to learn the accent, so you can understand us. Another question about the fork. Paul said something about the fork is very close to a motocross, supercross fork. In what regard are Moto forks still more advanced than the Dorado?
Oh. No, it's easy. It's not more advanced. It's we are on the same level. The difference is the Moto fork is made by stronger materials, because the legs are steel, while here the lower legs, the tensions are alloy. So the Moto fork is actually stiffer, but of course the bike it's 100k, while this one is only 14 if we remove the fork and the front wheel. So they are really similar. I mean, there is nothing better. There's probably more studies behind the motocross fork, because they have been doing it and using it from the 1990, so 32 years plus of usage of upside down forks. While in the mountain bike, it's really a small percentage. You know, the Dorado and some other brands trying to copy the Dorado, but yeah, we have less. I do have less experience, of course, than the show engineers. They are like God, so probably the Moto fork is better because there's more experience behind it, and they have more years. You know what I mean? But yeah, I try to do my best to bring this one to the best level I'm able to do, and so far clients were happy. And when have been trying when they tried these things, they never came back to other stuff. That's the only reward that I have.
I think the main difference between Moto products and mountain bike products is, in the mountain bike industry, we're always told that just buy the latest, buy the best thing, and it's amazing. And there's not much talk from suspension brands about getting it tuned, getting it set up, going to the track, practicing, doing setup days. Whereas in the moto world, it seems completely standard. If you buy a brand new motocross bike, first thing people do is take the suspension off, send it to the local tuner, get it prepped for their weights, get the shin stack sorted for their weight, check the sag.
Yeah, friction, they rework the frictions, they work alignment on bushings. I personally know my master, well, yeah, he's my master, like the motocross suspension guy, and yeah, he was taking care of my personal Moto, the CR250 one, until I sold it. I've been doing Moto for nearly 30 years. Yeah, of course, when you buy a new Moto, you don't even use the Moto once. You grab the suspensions and you bring it to the suspension guy. While in the mountain bike, you wait 2 years before understanding that you need to do something in your suspension. But yeah, things are changing, because I'm receiving a lot of brand new suspensions to tune, and that's really, really good. It means that someone is waking up, and yeah, the hype is it's falling down, I believe. No, it will be never, destroyed, the hype around the myth, but yeah, if we can recover some of the guys and save some of the guys, we are happy.
Yeah, that's my recommendation to anyone. Wherever you get your suspension from, just get it tuned first. Especially this year, I had a lot of problems with stuff coming from the factory assembled incorrectly. If you get it to a tuner like Dave, or I use JTech in the UK, TF tuned, NSR, all these guys, first thing they do, strip it down, double check it's been assembled correctly. These items are pretty sort of big mass production in China or Taiwan. They may not be assembled perfectly. They're super expensive products, so yeah, you might be spending 1500 on the standard fork, 1700.
Yeah, maybe 2K or
down fork. So
yeah.
the price to send it to a tuner, yeah, you'd be stupid not to, or just buy it from a tuner, and you pretty much always will have the initial check, the initial surface treatment, and yeah, all the settings from day one. All the suspension I get from Dave, he knows, because we've built a relationship over 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, more than 10 now, I guess.
Jesus Christ, 10 years.
Yeah.
Dave,
We opened a comma. We met in Finale Free Ride in Finale Liquid. We were both guiding for Finale Free Ride in 2010-ish, something like that.
2011.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 11 years.
Yeah, so yeah, it's 11 years. And we were riding XL bikes, and we saw it, and we felt in love because we had the 2 XL bikes, and we were the only 2 on planet riding the XL bikes. But in 2011, the bikes were so short, and you were forced to use an XL bike. Maybe today we can talk about, yeah, we can use the L. It's not that short, but in 2011, so we met in Finale Free Ride.
I think we just spent all the time complaining about the bikes being too short.
And we are still complaining in 2022. So
we've got
okay, we are getting there. Yeah,
a few bikes that fit. Yeah, because we've built a relationship, not that kind of relationship, but a working relationship together for the suspension. Every time we get a new bike, Dave knows how I ride, he knows what I like, he knows he's got a settings bank of all the previous stuff that I've used with dyno readouts all stored on his computer. So if I get a new bike and say, Dave, can you put together a shock or a fork for this bike? He knows pretty quickly. Go back through, look at all the data, look at the comments, look at the feedback, check the damping curves, check the damping forces, all those things, and then he can prepare the new product for me. And this applies to any of his customers. So when I get the product, I stick it on the bike, and it's always within a few clicks here and there. And then Dave's really handy on the WhatsApp. I'll put the shock on the bike, go riding it, and I'll say, maybe it feels a bit too soft, or it feels a bit too fast, or it feels a little bit like this. And he'll say, 1 click here, 1 click there, 1 click do this, maybe a little bit more preload. And then you can troubleshoot. And if you start with a really good setting like that, it's really easy to get to a really good final setting. If you start buying a random shock off a shop online, you have no idea what the damping curves are, no idea how that shock works, no idea how it will work with your bike. You can spend weeks or months or years trying to get the correct tune. So yeah, I just can't emphasize it enough. Just buy your suspension from a tuner. Dave, NSR, JTech, there's a lot of good tuners out there. There's also some shit ones. But find a good one, find a local one, and yeah, start working with them. Another positive of a local tuner, Dave lives 30-40 minutes drive down the road. So if I do have any problem or need to get a retune, I can just drive him in the car and I have to put it in the post, ship it back. Sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to ship things back and forwards. Maybe it gets lost in the post. If I have a problem, jump in the car, drive down, get it fixed, drive home. Easy.
And read the other comments. I go on YouTube, so I can read live the comments like you, Paul.
You need to get something so excited about the comments.
Yeah, I want to read them.
Hambini is the GOAT.
Yeah, Hambini is numero uno.
What needs to be done to get Dave to do a Coil RRT?
Hold on, let me shut. I wouldn't do it for now because I believe the forks, they have enough air volume, air room inside to work pretty well, while the shock are sort of not really convincing me yet. So a fork with a coil is going to be heavy, and I believe lightness in a bike is a really good thing because we don't have all those low powers like petrol engines or cars, whatever. So we are humans, we have a short force, and when we have to steer, to drive, to bunny hop, to whatever wheelie a bike, if it's lighter, it's always better. So why I have to increase the weight of my fork by half a kilo, 300 grams, 400 grams, whatever the figure it is, why I have to put that figure on when a good air fork with a solid, good air chamber, balanced each other can work pretty well. So I wouldn't do it for now. I definitely not. It's gonna be too heavy.
I keep asking for one to try, but you won't let me have one.
Yeah, all right. I got the comments, guys. Now I'm gonna read the comments.
Here's one.
Yeah.
What is the crank length? What do you think about longer or shorter cranks? Hope claims 155 is the perfect size from TV.
I didn't hear what Hope is saying. I can tell you what I do think. 165 for DH is the standard since many years. It's working, so I wouldn't change.
Is that what these are?
That's 165 for sure. If you go shorter, you have less power when you have to sprint out. And I don't believe we're gonna see like Bruni running like the for William last half a K with 165, 155. So 165 is what we got. And we're gonna stay with it unless you prove me something different.
Yeah, I'm running 175 on that bike with a really high BB, but yeah, 165 I have on pretty much all my bikes. And these cranks are really good. I tested these at Pink Bike years ago, the DMR Praxis Axe cranks. Really, really solid. Anyone who wants to save weight on the crank on a downhill bike is crazy, because you've probably seen on some World Cup races people snapping carbon cranks. You definitely don't want to snap a crank, because you pound your foot into the floor with all your weight on it, and you probably end up in hospital. So, really good cranks on this bike. Solid DMR alloy, big.
Pretty thick crank. Yeah,
I think that I'd say they're pretty much unbreakable.
Yeah, this was like a 300 euro or something crank. It's not even quite cheap. It's a good quality one. Paul, there is a question about the 240 by 76 shock. Do you see it? Someone is asking me if I would install a shock longer than this one to lower down the leverage ratio from 2.6 down to 2. For sure, I would do it, but the market in the mountain bike has been stuck for years with the 240 by 76. So this bike has actually the longest. We even had a longer one of this one, like 10 years ago, which is a 290 by 276 by 90.
That was a 9.5 inch.
Yeah, no, it's a 10.5 inches. By 3.5 or something like that. But anyway, that's has been removed from the market. So the longest has been the 240, which is the international standard, the gold one, which for the mountain bike downhill, and this one has it. So that's what we're gonna use it easy. Of course, I would like to have even less leverage. It's easier to control damping when there's low leverage. Glad this bike is not that bad. I would say in this way, because all the other bikes, most of those are really bad design, especially e-bikes with leverage ratio so high overall, and it's really hard to control the chassis of the bike with a shock when the leverage is so high, because there is so much force pushing against the shock. But I'm glad I'm seeing new frames coming out from small companies with a really low leverage ratio, and maybe next year I'm gonna test some of those. Definitely, if we can keep it low, let's keep it low. But this one ain't too bad, because it has 76 millimeter stroke for 195 of rear axle movement, so it's even lower than the common other downhill bikes.
Two good questions. First one, Paul, how's your Italian coming along?
Terribile. È buono solo quando mangia il tiramisù. It's good only when he's gonna eat the tiramisù.
Yeah. When I'm chatting to your mum about the tiramisù delivery, the only time I can speak any Italian. Next one, any downsides on combining O-chain on the Legend suspension-wise? That's French.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sorry, man. What do you say?
Any downsides on combining an O-chain with the Legend suspension-wise?
No, there is no downside. When you are coasting, there is no pedal kickback. Of course, if you are going 40 kilometers per hour. If you brake hard and you want to do a really short and tight corner, then you may have some kickback. Of course, if you lock the wheel or whatever, and if there is enough grip to the wheel to lock, so different things must be combined together to get a pedal kickback. And if you want to use the hot chain, you can just use it easy. But on this particular model, we got 30 POE on the rear hub, so it's not that fast, the engagement. So you can, if you are a fast guy, which is not braking that much, you can easily ride the bike as it is without any additional device, I believe.
Yeah,
because of the hub. Of course, if you go slow, it's slow in braking all the times. Yeah, grab a nut chain, of course.
Yeah. Also, maybe if you're riding flat pedals, chain does take a little bit of the impact out on the flat pedals. Keeps your feet stuck to the pedals.
Yeah. Just a comment. There are a few questions which are not regarding the Banshee Legend, so we are not keen to answer those things. Sorry, guys. There will be another moment to talk about other things. So we just keep focused on the Legend right now.
I've got the next one.
Yeah.
How wide is the adjustment range on a stock Dorado Pro? Can it be considered the double barrel of forks?
No, it can't be. It's a completely different thing. A fork, it's a fork. A shock, it's a shock. It can't be compared. And the shock is a twin tube shock. So the way it works, the hydraulic, it's completely different. While the fork is a semi-open twin tube, but it's a semi-open. So it's another story. And of course, they are working with different values. The shock is on a leverage. The shock is on a direct one-to-one movement. So it's a completely different system. They work together, but no, we can't compare it to each other. And if your question is, the Dorado the best one because the double barrel is the best one? For sure, I would say yes, but there's nothing to do, one on each other, two different products.
The adjustment range again comes down to the tune, really. And this is again where you should start with getting the product from a tuner, because you're more likely to be in the right range. If you bought a standard Dorado and you're 120 kilos or 50 kilos, you're probably not. Well, I'm going to say you're definitely not going to be able to get the tune that you need. If you're 75 kilos, you're probably going to, like an average speed rider, probably going to be able to use the adjusters to get what you need. But again, just start from a suspension tuner, buy from a tuner, start off with the correct tune. Makes life a lot easier.
All my clients, they barely touch the adjusters. They sometimes try themselves to tweak a little bit right and left those registers, but at the end of the week, they just write me, "Hey Dave, I went back to your tuners because that was the best." And it makes me laugh sometimes, but So we do have a lot of adjustment here. High speed, low speed, rebound, that's 3. And 4 in the shock, that's 7 knobs to turn, plus the air, the progression of the air, the tokens and other stuff, and the coil rate. So you really have like a 10 or even more things to change in a bike like this one, which is sort of a standard for anyone. And 10, if you do the metrics, so how many combinations you can do, you just go mad. That's why you have to get the bike set up by someone who is doing it every day. And once it's done, once it's set, I wouldn't touch anything. So you can hot glue the registers and just go riding. That's my idea. Yeah.
And that's not even mentioning tires, tire pressure, bar height.
Yeah.
Spoke tensions, track conditions, track gradient, mud, dry, all those things. Here's a good question.
What's up?
From my brother, to Tom Wade, who won the first Dorado RRT that I gave away. How is his Dorado holding up? Well, he hasn't complained yet, so he's been riding that for a year now, I think, on a GT1.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Last time he told me he was absolutely loving it. So,
last one is
it's pretty awesome. Tom's reply.
Yeah. Let me see if we have lost some question. Going back through the comments.
How long is the chainstay?
The chainstay, it's 473 millimeters, which I do consider, average. I wouldn't call it long. Long for me is 500. Average is 470, and short is 450. That's my idea. Of course, it's definitely different as the market is saying, but you know, I think in a different way. I see a question about the saddle height for a downhill bike. It's a little bit backwards. It's not related to only to the gold legend we are showing you here now, but the saddle height, it's usually at the same height of the average point of the steer tube. If you take a line, you end up in this position with the saddle, and that's a good position. Every downhiller is using it, and when you are standing on the bike, you have the saddle in between your legs, so you, even if you're not thinking about it when you're riding, you know where the frame is because the saddle is barely touching your legs. And most of the enduro guys nowadays, they are dropping the saddle like crazy people, and they are losing their reference. While I believe the saddle should stay at this level. If you look at the side pictures of all the world champions in downhill, they all have the saddle at this sort of this height. Yeah, that's what I believe. So if you are an enduro guy, start riding the proper saddle height.
And with a downhill bike, you always want it tilted slightly back, so it keeps the wings of the saddle from digging into your legs too hard. And when you're going downhill, maybe you're going downhill at this gradient, then your saddle's flat, and if you maybe blow your feet off or maybe you need to get clipped back in, it can help sit down for a few seconds, get your feet back into position, or if you just your feet off. If you have it flat on flat ground, and when you're going downhill, your saddle's pointing down, and if you need to sit down on it, you'll slide off the front.
There is a guy who's asked, how is the lowest position we can get on this bike, of the saddle? The lowest, it's you should remove the shock, compress the wheel 19 centimeters, not 195. So you have to measure this distance, and this is like 195. So the lower, it's 195. Otherwise, the wheel is going to touch the saddle. But it's not really high. I mean. And if you are shorter than 1.70 m, you probably need to swap frame with the large. This one is an XL, which is good from 170 to 187, 89, and 190 to me.
Do you think it would be worth putting on a dropper to give it some adjustability?
Definitely not. The downhill bike will stay as it is. And another one, how many spokes do the wheels have? This wheel has been built with the standard of 32 each, so these are strong. They are equipped with a 1.8 spokes, pretty strong stuff, and alloy nipples for sure, J-band. What else? Yeah, the 20 by 110 front, of course, 150 in the back. Yeah, standard stuff, but they are rolling pretty well, and the rims are pretty good. 27 in width, 27.5 in width. That's it. Well, we got more.
Well, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about these brakes? Because no one's asked about these.
Right, yeah, the brakes, yeah. I buy brakes. It's the only thing that I have kept buying in the whole life, because I did have some frames for free. I did have some, tires and other stuff last year for free. I always had to buy brakes because no one wants to give me brakes. And I always buy Hopes because to me are the best. Well, 2 months ago, I bought a pair of Tech 4 V4, and this was shocking. It's the best brake I ever had in my whole life. The lever is so long that if you close your eyes when you're cruising, it's like being on a CR250 Honda. The lever seems a Nissan brake. It's crazy, and the modulation with gentle touches, it's massive. It's really the best brake I ever had. It's really the best.
It's so hard, especially like on social media nowadays. Everyone says, these brakes are the best, or this bike's the best, this thing's the best. These brakes, unbelievable. Every time I ride that bike, I'm just shocked every time. Always perfect bike point. There's I don't ever use more than 50% of their total power. It never feels like you're using any of the power. I think, at least 6 months on that bike, the pistons are still perfectly in line and moving freely. Absolutely no problems. Yeah, it's just solid. Unbelievable. Just, everything you want from a brake. Loads of power. no bike point change, loads of modulation, great lever feel, all the options, all the colours. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I decide to use the Keller hose. They are like plastic hoses, call it, because these are lighter first, and these are more rigid, so they are more easy to clamp on the bike, especially the front one, which has a certain route it has to follow. It's easier with the plastic hose. But definitely the main important thing is the weight for me. This bike is 16.6 kilograms without pedals, as you see it now. So it's pretty light, even if it's an alloy bike. Super strong bike because it's alloy 7005 series, so it's pretty well made and it's pretty stiff. And yeah, I picked up the best brake I could. All the components on this bike, except a couple of things, they were selected as the best. If it was mine, if I have to build a bike for myself, I would make it as it is. There are only a couple of things which are not really expensive, like brakes, handlebar, which is carbon, a couple of €100 just the handlebar. Everything is expensive here. The rear mech is a Z. It's a Z, which is like 60, 70 euro. It's a normal one because I believe it's a really small device, more hidden, towards the inner part of the frame, so less fragile when you ride. And if you smash it, it's only another 60, 70 euros to replace. And it doesn't really need to be super like high Swiss tech precision, whatever. It's just a mech changing the gears. But when you're riding downhill, you're not changing that often. So that's the only part I recognize as not being super expensive on this bike. While all the other parts were decided by myself when I built the dream wheel, when I built the bike. And these brakes, going back again on the brake topic, these are the best brake on planet Earth. I wouldn't put anything else on this bike, and so yeah, brakes are awesome, really awesome. I mentioned to the disc, I started to use 2.2/2.3 millimeter thick disc few years ago. I believe for years that 1.8 is too thin for any use. So I started with the 2, then I switched up to the 2.3. These are the Intent massive rotors, which are really, really good, and these are really massive. 2.25 thick, really nice. So a good solid frame of the brakes. That's it.
200 front and rear.
200 front and rear, because with the V4 there is no need of adding unsprung mass with big discs. We need to keep the things light, especially in the unsprung masses. In 200 with the V4, you have plenty of power. Yeah.
I bought loads of 220mm rotors for these bikes in the spring. Just don't need them. I think I've got 6 new ones in boxes waiting to be used. 200's absolutely fine. You could use 180 with these brakes. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah, a couple of guys asked why I have been selecting the carbon bar. Because carbon is a sort of stiffer, so you have more precision in the steering, and it's also lighter. And if you crash, this one is a race machine. So if you crash, you replace the part. I don't mind. I just want to build the best. You know what I mean? If you crash, you have to change then if you break it. But I have been riding carbon handlebars for years and never had a trouble, especially with this SQ Lab 30X 16 degrees back, tilted 5 forward. So it's actually 12 degrees back and 5 degrees up, something like that. But yeah, I've been selected this one because it's lighter and stiffer. That's my idea.
And you've got the old Pro grips on there, dual compound, push on, glue on, wired. No point in lock-ons. Just a waste of time.
How was the gold color achieved on the Banshee, titanium nitride, whatever coating? No, it's not painted. This one has been. This one is anodized. It's real anodization on a raw frame. So it's been polished by hand. So we got the raw metal back. And then a few steps to get the final anodization process, which has been done by a proper factory. I can't do the anodization at home. I can't do it. So yeah, the quality. If you see it from real, it's stunning. And it's also lighter because when you anodize a bike, you protect the frame, you make it lighter, and it's nicer. So I believe all the bikes should be anodized. But of course, it's much more expensive for the frame maker. It's much more complicated. It doesn't offer the white because the anodization can't be white. And most of the frames in 2021 and 22, they were white because white is like classy. So there are some downsides of the anodization, but yeah, this one is anodized in gold.
It's much harder wearing as well because the anodizing is actually becomes part of the structure of the aluminium. So it's much harder to scratch, whereas paint is just stuck on top, and that's why it chips or scratches a lot easier. This finish will last for ages.
Yeah. Let's talk about the drop test. One more thing, even if it's not a question. I believe the drop test is the most stupid thing a person can do when he tests in a bike. Because if I put 3 kilograms of weight on the BB and then deflate the tire at 1 bar, the bike is going to stick on the ground, even if suspension is full of onions and then, I don't know, tomatoes and other things. So don't do the drop test to watch if your bike is a good bike. I'm spending thousands of euro in data acquisition system, computers, dynos, and all the other stuff. And yeah, so don't do it. I mean, there is no worth to doing it.
This is a good test to do,
Yeah.
the suppleness test.
Yeah.
Or on this bike, if you push the fork down, it's so supple and balanced that the rear shock goes down.
If I push it, the shocks move. Yeah, exactly. The double barbell is, I believe, the shock with the lowest break-in wave force. That's because the pressure of the IFB is quite low. It is a twin tube, so the oil recirculates around. And the third thing is the shaft ain't too big. If you have a shock with a big shaft, for a given pressure of the IFB, there are going to be a lot of pushes against the shaft, which want to go out of the shock. So you're going to have, for sure, a little bit more force to compress the shock compared to a shock with a smaller shaft. This one is the newest model. It's the one with a 9.5 millimeter shaft. 10 years ago, we were used to have the double barrel with the 8. Then some frame makers came out with sheet frames which were bending shafts, and so Cane Creek had to respond, give a response, and they made it the bigger shafts. Not because the shock is better, but because the frame was shittier. That's the Ambini style moment of the life. But anyway, yeah, the double barrel still retains the best sensitivity on the market. You can really move the shock with nothing, and that's what that translates onto when you ride traction. Because when you are leaning a corner over the roots, the wheel can just move up and down 1 millimeter, and the shock always control the traction. That's crazy, and this can't be achieved with an air shock because you have so many seals which are making frictions, and it can't be achieved with shocks with a bigger shaft, in my opinion, because the bigger shafts make so much pressure and lose a little bit of sensitivity. So this one to me is still the numero uno, and that's why I have been selecting the double barrel, and that's why I've been using the double barrel to make my dream bike, which is the new Edition Legend.
Nice, that's 1 hour. So we'll call it a day there, otherwise we'll be here forever. Hope you liked it. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed it.
We got one more, Paul.
Well, Dave, let's get to bed.
One double more. A couple of persons are asking what I have been using to guide the front brake in here. As you can see, this is a Moto style brake. So we got the right on the front. And when you have the right on the front, you can have the proper cable from the right going towards the fork, in the eyelet in here, and then straight to the leg guard, and it's attached to the leg guard. When I compress the fork, the leg guard pushes the brake up, and this little bit here is actually it's called Spherical. I don't know if in English is the correct name. It's a sort of a polymer. It's a translucent tube, 6 millimeter in ID, and you have to open the brake hose, of course, to put it in. But then you have a sort of a vertical reference, and it will stay straight when you compress the fork. And yeah, this one, it's actually something I haven't invented. It's from motocross world. All the motos are like this, and when I build something, I want to make the best, and I believe this one is the best. Easy.
Right, this is the last one. I'm not going to let you answer anymore. The Dorado needs Kashima coating. Wink.
Yeah, okay, sure. All right.
Right, so that's it. If you liked it, let us know in the comments. If you want us to do any more in the future, about anything else we can, maybe the steel bike or just more in depth about suspension. Hopefully the sound quality was okay. I'm going to invest some money next week in kitting out this garage better with some microphones and some sound insulation. So yeah, we're working our way onwards and upwards. Got to win the bike, £20. It's guaranteed draw tomorrow night at 6 o'clock European time. That's it. Thanks everyone. Cheers, Dave. Thanks for coming up. And yeah, good luck if you bought a ticket. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck and get this bike and ride the RRT stuff, guys. Yeah, I really wish you the best. Get the tickets.
Cool. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.